Oh,
And so, but yeah, it's some nice software, man. It's more podcast friendly, I think, than like Zoom and all that good stuff. Um, but yeah, I was excited to talk to you today because I think most people can agree that pain, joint pain especially. Like I tell people all the time, like, and I'm not saying anybody should do this, but if I'm in the gym, if I have a muscular pain, maybe I'll do a different part of the body or whatever. But joint pain is something that I take very seriously, very seriously, and I think a lot of people do. And it's crazy because I think joint pain is like, we hear a lot about heart health and brain health and stuff like that, lung health and stuff, and those things are obviously important. But I tell people all the time, man, like you got to think if you get to a point where you can't move around, you can't walk around. I mean, you can't do any of these things.
yeah.
So
You have to
so
worry about your heart.
yeah. I mean, you
Because you're
can't.
laying down all the time.
That's what I'm. You can't even move quick enough to even have your heart rate elevated for it to be a workout. I mean, it's like joints are absolutely critical. Um,
That's a good point.
and look, I'm not being disrespectful when I say that. I just think it's important to be aware of that. And I know you've probably heard this too, but a lot of people that like have had a back surgery or a knee surgery or whatever, I've heard a lot of people say don't do it. A lot of people like that have had it. If they say if you cannot do it, don't do it because it's not what you think it would
Not
be.
what you
Like
think. You're totally right.
yeah. So
50-50.
so I'll let you kind of talk and say who you are, introduce yourself. Anything that you want to say is relevant, and we'll get into it. I know we're gonna have a good conversation here.
I see we're going to have some fun. All right.
Oh
Well, my
yeah.
name is Renee Moten, and I've lived in Maryland all my life, and I've always been into some type of sport, some type of activity. I met my personal trainer back in 1992, and I used to coach a little league team. So coaching and personal training, that's for me, and that's when I fell in love with fitness. But I think what happened during my fitness journey, I had hurt my ankle playing soccer, and that one soccer injury caused me to have 20 years of osteoarthritis in both knees. So and
Mm,
that's what we're going to be talking about today is the joint pain and how that happened to me. Just one ankle injury turned into 20 years of pain. And what I had to learn through that journey of getting myself on the other side of pain is what I'm so excited to be talking about here today. I am a certified personal trainer and a massage therapist. I've been one for over 25 years. So one thing I know about is joint pain, but I also know about exercise and stretching and really how to get the body back into balance. And I'm just really excited to be able to talk about those things today because that's what I've done just about half of my life. And plus I live the other half in pain. So helping people to get out of pain and being in pain myself. So I am just really excited to be here to talk about joint pain.
yeah, man. I'm excited for you to be here because I know we're gonna have a great conversation. But also, too, you say this and it makes me think. Like, so I was running a couple weeks ago, right? And I don't usually have a whole lot of pain, like unless I overdo it. But I was running and like so the outside of my right knee was like I had some pain in my right knee. And I was like, man, what happened? And so I do what everybody does. They go to Google, and then you find out you're dying. You go to Google, you you find out you got a couple
Yeah,
days left when you go to Google.
yeah, exactly.
But I found out, and I didn't know this. There's a tendon or something that runs from your hip all the way down to your knee. It's on the outside, or a ligament or
IT
something like
band.
that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and so they said when that gets tight, it could cause a problem in your knee. It could cause like a pain in your knee. And I was like, man, that might be. And it's been a while since I've had a massage, so I was like, man, I might need to go get that, massaged or whatever, because I feel like that's what it is. It's that tightness on the outside of the leg right there.
Yeah. But the question you should ask yourself is why?
Hmm.
Why do you have that pain on the outside of your knee? Why
Well,
did it start? What caused it?
well, the first thing I thought was like improper running form.
Okay.
But then I was like, I don't know about that. I think because I was running, both my feet were doing the same thing, and the left knee didn't have a problem. So I feel like it wasn't the form. But then I was like, okay, because I stretch. I don't stretch as much as I should, but I stretch like a couple times a week. But I don't really do anything for like the outside. I don't even know if you can do the outside of the leg right there. But I try to stretch like you see a lot of yoga guys, yoga people doing it where they're like their knee is like brought up to their chest
Hmm.
and their knee is on the ground and they're like laying down and it's supposed to stretch like the lower back and the hip and that kind of stuff. I do that, but I don't for like the outside of the leg. I don't. There might be a stretch for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That band right there.
Well, there's stretches for for all the muscles. All it's like 608 muscles. There's stretches for each one. The question is which one should you be stretching? You feel it on the outside of your knee, but that doesn't mean that's where the problem is coming from.
Right.
So the first place that you want to look whenever you have any type of joint pain is you look at your feet.
Hmm.
You look at your shoes, especially as a runner. You want to look at the bottoms of your shoes and see if you have good wear patterns. Have you ever looked on the bottoms of your shoes by any chance?
Um, I mean, I haven't, but I know I run in Brooks, and Brooks ain't cheap. So if
But it's more of it's not the shoe, it's the patterns
okay,
on the bottom of the shoe.
I see. Okay.
Because as a person that had knee problems for for 20 years, I literally wore a hole in the bottom of my shoe
Hmm.
on the right side. I didn't know it was wrong, but I literally it was a hole, and I just went got another pair of shoes. So that's what we need to look, especially runners. Runners need to look at the bottoms of their shoes and see if the wear patterns are the same. And if your knee hurts, I can almost guarantee you that one side is a little bit different.
Interesting.
I know.
So, that's actually a good point that you bring up because they say that the whole shoe the market that's made specifically for runners, like the shoe market.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the shoe, it's designed like that because we as people don't really know how to run. So the shoe is compensated for that. It's like it's more cushion in the back or whatever. But because some people when they run, it's like they land with their heel. And then some
Mm-hmm.
people like land on the sole of their feet, which I think you're actually supposed to land on the sole of your feet, not the heel.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that's the way it is. But I was just gonna say like that. So the Brooks. So if you have your shoe, the Brooks have a really thick like heel part because I think that's if you land on the heel with that really thick heel, it makes it like you're landing on the sole because it's more of a flatter. You see what I'm saying? But I've had shoes before too that didn't really have that defined heel, and when you land on your heel like that, man,
Mm-hmm.
the knees take a beating from that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You see, the challenge with when we talk about joint pain is we always go after where the pain is. But the really biggest thing that we have to do if we ever going to get ourselves out of pain, we have to prepare the body to run. And to prepare your body to run, everything should have been done down by your ankles. You work on your ankles. You make sure your ankles are rotating properly. You make sure that your toes are functioning properly. You make sure your feet are functioning properly, and your shins and your calf. Everything below the knee has to be functional. It has to be stretched out and functional before you even think about running. But if those things are not functional, you're going to end up with IT band problems. You're going to end up with runner's knee problems. And then you're going to be stretching outside of your IT band. I can tell you from past experience, you'll be doing that for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, because it's not going to loosen up.
Hmm.
Your biggest problem is usually you're out of balance. That's what's causing your one side to hurt because you're out of balance. One side of your body has gotten a little bit stronger than the other. The question is which muscles have gotten out of balance.
Okay. Okay, so this is interesting. So now I got to think about this. So if so let me start with stretching because it sounds like I might not be stretching the right way.
Okay. Okay.
Because like when I if okay, so if I'm stretching, like I can feel it if I'm stretching my legs, like I said, the hips, the lower back, I can feel it kind of in the back of the leg. Like what should I be doing? Because you mentioned the ankles or the like I guess there's a stretch for the calves, but I don't think I've ever worked with my ankles.
Okay. Yeah, and the thing you should be doing first, anybody that's a runner, they need to take a tennis ball, put it on the bottom of their feet and roll it and see if
Okay.
they have any tender spots there. They probably do. So that's where you want to start. You need to loosen up the fascia on the bottom of your feet first.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to learn how to do ankle rotations and
Okay.
then something called windshield wipers. You have
Okay.
to get the feet functional. Your ankles have to be able to be functional. If they're not, they're going to hold tight. They hold tight, they're going to put tension up the calves, the shins, and up to the knee. And then the IT band is going to start to tell you that you're out of balance. And that's what's happening.
That makes sense. That does make sense. I know the reason I know this is a flexibility thing is because like underweight, if I do a leg workout or something, I'm fine. But if I do like sometimes I'll sit with like my leg over my other knee, like like that kind of, and I can feel that like I can feel it it's tight almost on that out part, that side of my leg. So I know it's a tension thing. I just don't know how to narrow it down because, like I said, the stretches I do, it's not really, it's
Yeah,
obviously not working. Um,
exactly. Yeah. Uh,
but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I've just seen people. I had a woman. She was there's a thing called a foam roller that a lot of runners get on. If you've
Hmm.
ever, you know what I'm talking about. They're always rolling on that IT band. I had a woman do that for 3 years,
Hmm.
and it never loosens up because that's not the muscle you need. If your IT band is tight, Cody, you need to be working on the opposite muscle, because somewhere along the line you've gotten the outside of the outside has gotten stronger than the inside. So you have to get to the inside to get those rebalanced again.
Okay.
So there's something going on with the feet, how you're walking or how you're running, that is causing an imbalance. And if you haven't stretched down the bottom, well, it's usually tight calves, tight shins, something going on with the feet and the ankles. You cannot get out of pain. I've tried it for 20 years. I mean, when I finally figured out how to get myself out of pain, I had to work everything below the knee has to get functional. And then you work your way up.
All right. So we start with the ankles, and then we work to, I guess, the calves, or does the ankles, is that in with the
Yeah.
ankles?
It's the stretch that is most important to a runner or anyone is called your shin stretch. And that's the one stretch that really no one ever does. That's why a lot of runners get shin splints, and get runners need to get that pain under the knee, the front of the knee. That's why, because they don't ever stretch out the shin. They don't ever strengthen the shins. So those are the places, those are the ways we're going to keep people out of joint pain, is to get everything below the knee functional.
Okay. So yeah, I might have to look that up. Shit, because I've actually never heard of that shin stretch.
And yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that might be part of my problem. I do know that, like, anytime I've ever gotten a massage, I usually use the same lady. She's like, she tells me my calves are very tight, but she says that's common with people who run a lot. They'll have very tight calves, like the back, like, the back of their calves.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like what you're talking about, the shin stretch. It sounds like that's like more the front of the leg.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
the calves are tight because the shins are like, please help me.
Yeah.
The shins are like, how about me? You're going to strengthen me too. Your calves are tight because they're in a protection mode. You're not supposed to have tight calves. They're in a protection mode. So the protection mode is your shins are saying, I need to be strengthened. I need to be strong. I need to be stretched. And that's what need, and then your shins will let go.
Well, I mean, this all makes sense, man, because the body's like a system, and everything needs to be working in unison. And you said there was how many muscles? 600.
608.
That is that is insane. I didn't realize there were that many muscles. Because
Yeah,
like
me.
if you well, if you go to the gym, there's only like you split it up over 5 days. That's a lot. That's a lot of muscles, man. Like 608.
Yes.
Okay, so if you get to the gym for 5 days and you do a different body group every day, that's insane. You're working over 100 muscles. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them are really underneath because your feet and your hands, they have a lot of muscles because they do so many different
Oh, I see.
things,
Okay.
So they have a lot of the muscles there, just in those areas.
Okay. Yeah.
But no one focuses, no, it's just that the only way I was able to get myself out of pain was when I learned that my ankles was causing my problem with my knee. Remember I told you I hurt my ankle, and and everybody kept focusing on my knee. Strengthen your knee, strengthen your knee. But never got me out of pain. It's not until I
So
went down below.
so you said you injured your ankle but you were having knee problems?
No, the
You,
ankle injury ended up turning into a knee problem.
okay, because you didn't have that stability.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think
Okay.
my ankle didn't hurt. It stopped hurting. So I said, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good." It kept giving out on me, but I said, I'm good. I'm good." But the first thing that starts to hurt is the bottom of my feet. The
Hmm.
bottom of my feet start to hurt. So what do you do when your bottom of your feet hurt? You limp. And then
Yep.
when you limp, then all your muscles below the knee gets tight. But I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden I did a squat and then my knee started to hurt.
Hmm.
It was like 5 years after the actual injury when my knee started to hurt. Because I didn't put those two correlations together.
So other than the stretching, did you do anything? Did you do like any muscular workouts to help get back to help get it right, the ankle or the leg or the knee? or did you just focus on stretching?
Well, the first thing you had to do was you don't just you stretch, you all do everything below the knee, but you literally, before anybody really does any exercise, I'm serious, any type of exercise or any type of sport, we do need to stretch the body all over, from all the way down from the toes all the way up to the fingers. Everything needs to be stretched out first. And
Hmm.
then you get the body back in the balance. You do what I call my balancing exercises. You find out if the right side is the same as the left. So you would do like a leg lift exercise on the right, a leg lift exercise on the left. Do they match strength wise? If they don't, then you have to get those back into balance. See, the whole body has to get back into balance. That's the strengthening exercise that need to get done. And once you do that, then you don't have to worry about too many injuries. You see, like you, I can almost imagine your inner thigh is probably going to be weaker on one side than the other. That's why your IT band is like, I'm trying to hold on for dear life here. I'm just trying to keep you balanced here, dude. That's what it's doing, because your inner
Yeah.
thigh is probably a weak.
Well, so like, okay, so when I work out, I try to have, you know, I try to do as many isolateral movements as possible. Like if I can do one arm at a time and then do the other arm, or one leg at a time and the other leg, because I know like if you do squats or if you do bench press or lateral pull down, something that's like almost a full body workout, but there's like multiple muscles involved. It's almost always that your dominant side is going to take over at one point or the other, you know. Um, so I guess for the as far as the exercise go, I mean, I do the inner thigh and the outer thigh, the abductors and the adductors, I think they're called. But that's pretty much the only thing I do for those. I mean, I do legs, you know, but it's more of the outer quad and then the back, the hamstring. Uh, but as far as those specific muscles on the inside and outside, that's all that I do. But the way the machine is set up, you have to do it's not an iso-lateral movement. You have to do it both at the same time because it goes in and then it goes out, you know. So I wouldn't even know how to strengthen just the inside if I tried.
Yeah, see, machines are good. They are good, but like you just said, your dominant side will always try to take over. So you have to get off the machines and do things functional types of exercises. So you can do your inner thigh. You can lay on the floor, and there's exercises you could do on the floor for your inner thigh, which is the best way. And that way
Okay.
you can really tell, okay, it's not as strong as I thought. But you have to start to isolate these muscles and to get them balanced first, and then go out and do your sport or whatever you want to do. But people go out into these sports and they're not balanced, and that's why they get hurt so much.
have you ever tried yoga? Have you ever done yoga?
Yeah, yoga has its benefits. Benefits.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I've heard a lot of people say that yoga, especially for people who feel that they're not as flexible as they want to be, that yoga is really good for that.
You just have to find the right yoga class. I've probably been to like 100 classes over my lifetime. And a lot of times, yoga doesn't always go with all of the muscles. They go with a lot of, holding positions, or they may do the same ones over and over again. So you just have to find one that helps with stretching a little bit in it. So
Okay.
that would really help. And one thing I have found out, I've interviewed over 1,500 people that have knee problems, and everybody that has knee problems, Cody, has something going on with their hips and something that's going on with their back. I haven't found anyone that doesn't. But the thing about yoga has helped them. When they get to me, they're still in pain, but they don't have all those other issues because they have been doing yoga. The
Okay.
problem they usually have is something below their knee, but yoga has helped a lot of people not need knee replacements. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's crazy, man, because like I've never done yoga. I want to do it. I want to try it out. But you hear like I've been told from yoga teachers that like people who are very like athletes who are very tense, like martial artists, that's a very like that's a very tense like form, I guess. But she's like they come in and it's like their first couple sessions are rough because they're just so everything's just so tight. But then once you're in there, you're able to move your body. You have that flexibility. Uh, but then like I think about like the we talk about the stretching, we talk about the I guess when you say there's exercises you can do, that's just like a body weight workout to strengthen like your legs and stuff like the leg lifts and stuff like that. That's just a body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. See, you should be able to do exercises standing up, sit in a chair, and on the floor.
Okay.
So
I'm
all
gonna
of
have
those
to
have some benefits.
I'm gonna have to look into this, man, because I'm hearing this I mean, I've heard this before, but I don't really know what like I don't have a visual of what this looks like. So I'm gonna have to figure out because I'm thinking about this, and like it makes sense, man, because it's like I said, if I move it in a certain way, it's almost like you had, like if you have a muscle that's really tight, like you can't, if you try to extend it out, like it's just tight,
Yeah.
but that's what it feels like on the outside of my knee sometimes. And I know it's not my knee, it's not the knee, but that's
Very
where I
good.
feel the pain at.
Very good. Because the knee only does flexion. It doesn't do but one thing. When you turn it like that, that's your hip.
Yeah.
So the IT band is what's causing it. The question is why is the IT band? So I wouldn't even focus on your legs at all. You need to go down below the knee
Yeah.
and look up. I can give you like 6 different exercises, 6 different stretches to do below the knee, and get that functional first. Don't even go after the legs. It's just not going to help you.
Okay.
It's going to stop the pain for a little while, and then you're going to go back in pain. It's going to stop it for a little while, and then you're going to go back in pain.
There's a guy on YouTube. He's like he's pretty well known on YouTube. Knees over toes or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
that's my guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know about his stuff?
Yeah, him. We do the same things. His is just more extreme than mine.
Okay.
But also, he was in pain when he was 12. So he's only
Okay.
like he got out of pain when he was in his 20s or something like that. I'm not over 60. So I'm not trying to dunk on basketball or anything like that. The concepts we have are the same. His is
Okay.
just more extreme than mine are.
Okay. Yeah, because I've heard a lot of people, like Joe Rogan and all those guys. I've heard them talk about that guy, like his stuff and what. I've never watched it, but
Yeah.
so do you work with people with like back pain and stuff too?
Yeah. Because I was a personal trainer for 25 years, I have, none of my clients ever came to me with nothing. They always had some type of challenges. So anytime anybody has knee problem, they're going to have back problems. I said knee problems and hip problems. So I do work with both, with that, because it all goes in there together.
Hmm.
And 99% times out of 10, when I finish working with someone, their knee pain is gone. What I'm usually have the left with is the hip pain and the back pain. And Cody, the reason that they have it is because they've been limping. It's the limping that causes the hip and the back pain. And I always have to work on their backs because of the knee problems causes limping, which causes hip pain and back pain.
That is, man, that's so crazy. I feel like I feel like it's almost like the lower back, like everything stems from the lower back. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it could be the upper body that goes to the lower back, or it can be the knees and the legs that go to the lower back. Because I like talking about martial arts for a second. These jujitsu guys, man, when they do these stretches, like jujitsu is a physically demanding sport, and you have to be flexible and all that stuff. And they're doing like when they do these stretches, they're doing that same exact yoga stretch that stretches the lower back, like with their hips. They got their hip, their knee up to their chest, and they're laying down and they're stretching that lower. I guess it would be the hip. But it's like it's almost like it's crazy how that's like a focal point. Like everything, a lot of things stem from the back, or at least that's where you feel it.
Yeah.
That's where you might feel it. It might be something
Right.
down in your knee.
Good point.
Yeah. Um, but I know, like me personally, like the dead hangs. This is debatable. Like when you just hold on a bar and you kind of
Mhm.
let yourself, I guess your spine kind of decompress. To
Mhm.
me, that's beneficial. I definitely feel a benefit from that. It's just a lot of people I don't think we don't have the grip strength to hold on. I think that the length you need to compress that. But I mean, they make these like there's these crazy looking machines that'll like a chiropractor or something might have one. It'll like try to decompress your spine. It's like a chair that you sit in and it just kind of depresses.
Yeah.
That's one experience I've never had as a chiropractor. I've never been to a chiropractor. I'm kind of scared, man, because you see those people go in and they get their neck cracked and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, that's risky. They they're like they're like on this table and this guy like just twist them. All of a sudden you hear this pop. I'm like, listen, I don't know about this.
Well, I've had 7 different chiropractors, so I've been to quite a few trying to find myself to get out of knee problems. So, yeah.
Did you
But
find
one
any
thing,
benefit, like in your situation? Did you find any benefits from the chiropractor?
yeah, that was the last thing that happened to me, which got me out of pain and kept me out of pain.
Okay.
Okay. But I just want to go back real quick to your back, real quick. Do you sit a lot?
Um, I wouldn't say a lot, but I would say if it bothers me that specific day, I had been sitting a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a muscle, you may want to look it up in the front of the thigh. It's called a psoas muscle. And the psoas muscle actually is called PSOAS. and it sits in front of the thigh. So it's called your hip flexor. And if you sit a lot, that muscle shortens. And then when you stand up, sometimes like, oh yeah. If you do something like that, that means that
Mhm.
muscle is shortened. So you can't fix it from the back. It has to be fixed from the front. It actually wraps around and goes to L4 and L5. So if you sit a lot of times that muscle will shorten and people say, oh, my back is hurting. But in essence, it's the hip flexor that's causing the back pain. And you can't get yourself out of pain if you work on the back. You have to work on the hip flexor.
Hmm.
Okay.
I'm curious. That's a good point. And I wrote that down. I'm gonna look that up. I'm curious what your thoughts are, just from general health and fitness, on prolonged sitting, because people say that sitting is the new smoking, and I don't know if you've heard this or not, but
Mm,
more and more people are starting to have like stand up desk, like
yeah.
instead of a desk where you sit down most of the day, you're actually standing up. I mean, there's a crazy Andrew Huberman. I reference him a lot on this podcast. I'm sure you probably know who he is. He's a neuroscientist at Stanford.
Mhm.
He has a podcast, but he was talking about even the position of your computer. So if you're a person, if you type a lot on your computer, and if you're standing up, that's better than sitting down. But if the way where your computer is at as far as your eye line goes, if it's down, you're not going to have as much focus as if it is if you're up, because if it's down, your eyelids are down, and that just by nature we get sleepy when we do that. It's hard for us to focus. But if your computer is like, instead of it being straight out, if it's slightly up, you'll be more focused as you're doing your work. And that's just, it's crazy with that mind body connection. um but like I said, he's a neuroscientist, and he does this for, I guess, for a living. But yeah, what's your thoughts on that prolonged sitting like that? Just for, I mean, not even for joint pain really, but also for joint pain, but also for like health and stuff.
Well, I think that the first of all, the prolonged sitting does cause you to have joint problems because, like I said, especially the psoas muscle, and
Hmm.
also your hips will start to get tight. So when people start to stand up and they start to walk, that's when you see a lot of people walk like ducks. I don't know if you. I look at people's feet all the time, so that's just me. But that's when they start walking like ducks, which turns into other type of knee problems and hip problems. But one thing about also about what you just talked about the guy talking about typing.
Hmm.
If that's the case, they put the bifocals here on your
Right.
glasses. So you have to look down because of your bifocals on the glasses. That's what you see.
Hmm.
So unless you what I don't know how how high do you want it, but see if they put the bifocals here, you have to look down, right?
Hmm.
I mean, and also they give you these lumbar chairs to sit in, but most people sit up in their chair. They don't sit, they're not laying
Yeah.
back in their chair. So I don't know.
I mean,
That's
maybe
my view on sitting.
I don't know. Maybe if you have the bifocals, maybe if you take them and flip them upside down, they'll be.
Exactly.
I
Because
don't.
that's how you. Yeah, I was thinking like, okay, well, how, I'm supposed to.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. I'm sure he has that somewhere in there. If you have the bifocals, how to do that, I don't know. But you are right. You would be like that.
Because you have to look. That's how you see. It's there, but I mean,
And then they would be coming to you, because then they got neck pain at that point. They got neck pain after that. Um,
yeah,
I
yeah, that's it.
I don't know, man. But I think though, like, just I think a lot of us, just by nature of the lifestyles or jobs that we have, we're sedentary a lot. We sit a lot. We're not moving around a lot. And we talk about joints and joint pain and that kind of stuff, but like, I think moving around is something that's huge for us. Just move, just even if it's, you just go out, take a 10-minute walk or whatever it is, a 5-minute walk, just moving around, I think really helps you. The conversation I had here a little bit ago, we were talking about sunlight, the effects of sunlight, natural sunlight, getting outside, getting outdoors. It's crazy that we have, like, this is flu season, like, the winter in the US is flu season, and we get colds and that kind of thing. But like, I wonder how much of that is attributed because we don't have a lot of sunlight, because we're wearing jackets and the sun's not hitting our skin. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just something to think about. Like, is it that it's actual the cold weather, or is it because we don't have the sunlight that we have in the summer? I don't know.
Well, I do believe, first of all, the body can heal itself.
Hmm.
And I do believe that unless we start to get on, per se, you have that IT problem over there, and if you let it go, it's going to turn into something else.
Hmm.
Okay, and I believe that I very very seldom get sick because as soon as I feel something, I go after it with something not over the counter. You do your ginger, you do your lemon, you do your cayenne pepper, or whatever it is you do, but we have to get on it as soon as we feel it,
Right.
and not put something in our systems that's going to counter Mother Nature. And that's what we do, a lot of over counter stuff that can counter Mother Nature. And then you'd be wondering why you got this sickness turns into this sickness, to this sickness. So,
So that's a good point. I think that's a good introduction to the next thing I wanted to ask you about, which is the diet and joint health. You know, like the diet that we have, and I don't know if you do much work in this area or not, but the diet in relation to joint health, because like we hear that like sugar is very inflammatory, and then we hear that like things with like collagen is really good for our joints. You know, whether it's a supplement or something that's very high in collagen. Do you work at all in that area with people as far as like the diet and what they're eating and how that affects joint health?
well, I can tell you this for a fact. Um, as I was going through my journey, I didn't start, I was in pain for 20 years. For 10 years is where I did all my research to try to figure this thing out. And didn't matter what I ate, didn't matter what I drank, didn't matter what I took, nothing was going to get me out of pain.
Right.
Because, see, joint pain is a functional physical problem. There's something called a kinetic chain. You ever heard that before?
I have not. Kinetic
Okay.
chain.
It basically means that, like, if I pull my arm up, I'm just not just pulling my arm up, I'm pulling up my rib cage and my hip, because everything is connected in a chain. And unless you get that kinetic chain back into balance, no matter what you eat, no matter what you drink, no matter what you take, you're not going to get out of pain. You get out of pain, then you come back in. You get out of pain, then you come back in. Does the diet help? Absolutely. But the kinetic chain is a must for us to get back. Everything, your ankles, your knees, your hips, your shoulder has to be in alignment. Then when you eat, you feel even better, but you got to get there first.
Hmm.
So I've heard people like, Renee, I did all this diet. I did every diet, when I was in all that pain, it did nothing happen until I started to understand that I had to put my body back into the kinetic chain, get that alignment back. And that's when the magic starts to happen.
Yeah, that's that's crazy, man. And I guess that does make sense. The chain, like getting the chain in order. I don't know if you know who Jordan Peterson is, Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Canadian psychologist, or he was. He's does more public speaking now, but he had so his daughter had she was very young. She was like 17, and she had like really bad arthritis, like, you know, to the point where I think she had an ankle replacement or something very, very young. And she changed her diet to like the carnivore diet, like the all meat diet or whatever. And I think through that process, she essentially healed her arthritis or whatever it was. And I think he had something similar to that. He changed his diet significantly, and it helped with that arthritis. And I don't know the connection with that, but do you help people with that, or is that kind of a different thing when we say like an injury and arthritis? Is that like that might be something different?
Oh no, I have osteoarthritis in both knees.
Okay. So what I don't even know what the definition of actual arthritis is. What is that?
Well, arthritis basically is supposed to be an inflammation of the joint. Basically, these you have two joints that are not hitting correctly, so it causes inflammation. The
Okay.
inflammation triggers the immune system. The immune system puts in some extra fluid. That's how the swelling happens. So you have inflammation, you have the swelling, you have the immune system. That's all that stuff is good. And if you get these um, two joints line back up, then the inflammation should start to go away and it calms down the arthritis. But if it doesn't, like in my case, I didn't get my joints back together, then it turns into osteoarthritis. And that's when the deterioration starts. See, I
Hmm.
have deterioration underneath my kneecap, but I don't have the pain because I'm back into alignment. Now, she was very young, so some kind of way she probably got herself back into alignment, and the inflammation went away, and she was able to get herself out of pain. But see, I don't have the pain, but I still have osteoarthritis because I kept pain for so long. It caused deteriorations in my cartilage. So I don't have a lot of cartilage, but I don't have the pain. So
So if it's and I might be getting down too much in the weeds right here, but if there's arthritis and that's an inflammation and the joint is swollen, then that means that obviously everything's not going to be where it's supposed to be because it's swollen, things are rubbing up against each other or whatever. So it's like what is it that comes first? Is it like the injury and then it's inflamed and then arthritis comes if the inflammation is not taken care of? I
Well,
guess.
the body gets triggered. It's called your adrenals. Your adrenals are your stress glands.
Right.
So say you have an injury. So as soon as you have an injury, the body says, "Okay, I'm going to like say somebody. Let's say somebody hurt their ankle, hurt their elbow." So the body is basically saying the adrenals said, "Oh, we have a problem." So the immune system comes in and puts some fluid around it. So say this is going to help to protect it. That's what the swelling is for. To help to protect the joint so you won't keep injuring it. Now, along with that comes inflammation. Inflammation comes in and brings in the heat. So now we need the heat in to bring good blood flow. So this is all good stuff. And it also brings in a lot of healing properties in there. So it's good. For long as, but then you have to fix the injury. Whatever the injury is, it has to start to heal. And then the inflammation goes away and the swelling goes away. However, if you don't do the right things to heal it, then it gets into a cycle. Inflammation, swelling, inflammation, swelling. And there you go. And then it goes into osteoarthritis, and then you got a whole new problem. But the injury comes first, and then the mechanism comes second. So swelling
we're
comes
basically
first, then inflammation.
so we're basically creating long-term health concerns and issues because we don't know how to because we don't know how to properly heal ourselves. That's what it sounds like is going on.
Yeah.
And
Think about this.
like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the incredible thing is that we are not taught, like, this is not basic education that I feel like we should all, I mean, there's a lot of basic education that's missing from our education system, but something like this, I think I don't understand why this is not taught to all of us. This is like right along with taxes. Like we should be taught these things.
Somewhere along the line, especially for knees, somebody said that if you just strengthen the leg muscle, you'll take the tension off the knee. Mm-hmm. That's in every book, every doctor, every physical therapy, every website. It says it all. Do that, it takes the pressure off the knee. But they forgot something, Cody. My knee hurts. You're going to try to strengthen my knee if it's swollen, it's sore, and it aches. How are you going to strengthen a knee like that? That's why there's 600,000. There's 600,000 knee replacements every year, and then that number is going to skyrocket in 5 more years because it keep doing the same thing. It's trying to take the pressure off the knee above the knee instead of going below the knee. That's what the problem is.
Yeah, that's I don't know, man. That's like discouraging that there's that many knee replacements, because I feel like of that many, how many people of that actually get better of that 600,000?
I see it every day, not almost every day, every day, because I'm on a site that people talk about that stuff. But I want you to think about something. You think about that you hurt your knee. Looks like your IT band, for instance. Mm-hmm. Your IT band is going to cause you to start to limp. Okay. So eventually, if you can't fix it, they're going to say, Cody, you need a knee replacement. But you have been limping. So your hips are hurting, your hips are off, your feet are off, your shins are off, your calves are off, your hips are off. Everything is off, but they're going to go after your knee. So they're going to replace your knee. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen when you get that knee replacement and you're going to start walking again? You're still going to be out of alignment.
Yeah.
So guess what's going to happen later on, like a year later? You're going to need another knee replacement because they still haven't fixed the problem. And then if you still don't fix it, then you're going to go after the hip replacement. That's how it happens. 1 knee, 2 knees, 2 hips, because they never fixed the problem, the root cause.
That's depressing. I mean, it really is, man. Because like I've said a lot on this podcast talking about mental health and stuff about, if we can just, I think a very small percentage of people who get like psychological medication for depression and stuff like that, I think a very small percentage of those people actually need it. I think if you do things like lifestyle changes, you can actually fix the mental health. And it sounds like we're saying the same thing here. If you do things, if you fix maybe the lifestyle, maybe how you take care of your joints that are like, not directly related, but kind of indirectly related to the joint, That's you can fix these things. And it's just it's the thing that's so crazy is that like almost every person I've heard say have a major knee surgery or hip surgery or back surgery says not to do it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Just,
what does that even mean? How do you replace somebody's knee? Like how do you replace a knee? Like what does that even mean, man? Like
they basically are taking the worn out cartilages and they're putting metal over top of it.
oh yeah, see,
Yeah.
this is why
Yeah.
we got some issues here. What do you this is great. I think my chair needs a joint replacement because this thing like sometimes it'll sink down on me.
Could be why your back is bothering you.
Well, it's got a padding in it, but it doesn't do much. I need to update this thing. I don't know if you've priced a office chair recently, but you might as well get a knee replacement because they're up there in price range.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just joking. So okay, so all right, so things like, do you work with people with like red light therapy? Because I've heard that's like really good for your joints, and I think one of the reasons is so the red light is supposedly can penetrate your skin. It can go down deeper into the skin, but it's also supposed to help with like collagen production and stuff like that. And then there's a thing like with the cold plunging too. I don't know if you work with people with those kind of techniques.
Well,
like
I
what you
can
think
tell you
about
for a
those.
fact that cold plunging is the best thing for you.
Okay.
I have, I actually wrote a book about it because that's what I had to use to get myself out of pain. I found out because one thing that happens when we do have pain, like you have pain now, if you keep it there, it's going to become toxic. Okay. The longer you keep inflammation in your system, it wears down, it starts to deteriorate your tendons and ligaments. So you got to get that inflammation, that pain out of your knee. So cold plunges help to do that. It helps to attack. It sends out white blood cells and helps to attack any places where you have pain. Okay.
Okay.
And then it's another part to it, but cold plunging is the best thing you can do because that's what it does. It goes in and starts to attack where the problems are. It helps to get rid of the inflammation. However, you still got to fix the root cause of the inflammation. And so that's what I don't want to keep harping on this alignment in the kinetic chain, but red light therapy, prototherapy, Synvic injections, cortisone injection, anything they can do. But if one side of your body is stronger than the other, just like if you take a person that when they have a knee problem, they go up the steps one leg at a time. What's going to happen to them? One side is going to get stronger than the other.
Right.
You can't fix that with anything except for proper alignment and physical. It's physical, It's physical alignment. Can't do it any other way.
Well, I guess that's encouraging to hear because I'm religious about that cold plunge, man.
Oh, good.
I do one probably about 4 or 5 times a week, but it sucks, man.
You didn't get used to it yet.
Well, I've been doing it a while, but I don't think that's something you get used to. Like that thing is like mine is about 45, maybe 44 degrees Fahrenheit. For those who are in Celsius, but it's man, that thing sucks. But it's like, but you do feel better when you get out of it, and if you do it consistently, like I mean, the muscular pain or whatever you have, it does help. It does help, and there's a lot of things. I wish one thing I wish I could do consistently is saunas. I don't do saunas much, but I guess saunas are kind of the inverse of the cold plunge. It more relaxes you, but there's a pretty good, pretty powerful, what would you say, protocol, I guess, where you do a sauna and cold plunge back to back. Like you'll do you'll do the sauna first and then the cold plunge and then sauna again and cold plunge. And man, you feel like a new person when you come out of that thing. Some of these you'll in some cities, some places have them where it's like it's a sauna and it's got the infrared sauna. So it's already got the red light in it. And then it'll have right next to it, it's got like a cooled pool, and it's usually not. It's like 50 degrees usually, but when you're coming out of that sauna, man, it feels like 30 because you're warmed up and you're going into the cold water. But yeah, those things are fascinating because there's I forgot the statistic about how many people, if you use a sauna regularly, how it helps you like prolong your life. I think it's like it cuts cardiovascular heart disease, or the heart disease, by like 50% or something crazy if you use a sauna regularly. I mean, that is insane, you know. Anyways, it's one of those things. This, you know, and then the red light beds, which are kind of they're becoming more popular these
Mhm.
days. Um,
The the toxicity that I was experienced, I did the hot and cold. I did them in the shower at the time.
mhm.
I
Yeah,
just did
yeah.
hot and cold showers.
Oh yeah.
And you come out a new person, but there's like two other parts to it that I did. But even when I did that, I felt fantastic, and I still do them today. Not as
Mm.
much as you do, but I do do them. I do the plunges.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I think a cold shower is harder. I think it's
Really?
worse. Yeah, because well, it depends on where you live in the world. So you said you're in Maryland,
Right.
so you probably have pretty cold winters up there,
Yeah.
right? So I
Mm.
think I'm in South Carolina, so it doesn't get too cold here. So if we take a cold
No,
shower here, it's not like a cold shower where you're at.
I see.
But
I see.
but I think it's harder though because like when you're in the cold plunge, you're like in it, like the water surrounds you. Versus if you're in a cold shower, you're in the water, you're out the
You
water,
can
you're
jump
in the
out of
water,
it.
and it's like I'll tell you what, man. I do think it's harder.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's the hot and cold, like going back hot and cold. That's it's a really crazy experience. And you just feel so. I don't know how to say it other than like refreshed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just feel
Mhm.
renewed. Like, and especially if you do that, and then a couple hours later you do something like jog or run on a treadmill or something
Yeah.
like that, and you get that blood flow. It's just like it's crazy. Because what you're doing with the hot and cold is you're basically pumping your blood in and out because you're getting hot and the cold, and So,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah. One of the main things that you're doing when you do that, people that have pain, people that have pain, they have what they call a congested lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is not moving, so things don't flow. That's why sometimes you don't feel well. So when you finish that hot and cold shower, it really
mm,
pushes through the toxicity in that out of that lymphatic system. That will makes you feel better. So that's what I do in my practice. When I teach classes all over the world, and I teach people about hot and cold showers. I teach people about the lymphatic system too. And that's the only way you're going to get out of pain. You have to get that lymphatic system to move, especially if you have like your IT band. We got to get a lot of blood flow, get that lymphatic system moving around that IT band so it can start to heal it. Because if you don't get the lymphatic system moving, it won't heal itself, and then you're going to have a two two IT band problems on the other side. Or it's going to go, or you're going to start to feel it in the groin, and that's not where you want to feel it.
so you work with you do like you teach people lymphatic massage and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's interesting because I just learned about that. I don't know. I talked to a person on the podcast. Her name is Heather Creason, and she mentioned that, and that's the first time I'd ever heard that. I knew what the lymph nodes and stuff like that. I knew what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize there was a system where you could like basically, I don't know, improve health
Oh,
through
absolutely. Yeah.
massaging that system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll tell you a story, man. A couple weeks ago, I on the back of my neck right here, I had a swollen lymph node. I almost freaked out because like I didn't know what was going on, and
Okay.
like because that's something you got to take seriously. But what it was my girlfriend was sick, and she had like a respiratory infection or something like that, and I think my body was trying to fight that off. I mean, it's fine now, but again, I went back to Google, and this time they didn't tell me I was dying, but what they did say. But what they did say, it was like, oh, if it hangs out for like more than a week, go get it checked out. And but I was just like, I don't know, man. And then I was thinking about the lymphatic massage. I was like, should I do that right now? Probably not. I don't know. But
Mm.
yeah, the lymphatic system, I feel like that is the same thing, right? The
Yeah,
lymphatics and the lymph nodes and stuff.
absolutely. That's what it
Yeah.
does. It stops you from getting sick. That's why it was holding all the bacteria here in that
Mm.
lymph node. Instead of letting it go all through your blood system.
Well, I think what freaked me out about it was just one. Like it wasn't both sides. It was just that one. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Is that bad if the other one's not working out? Like what does that mean? So I don't know, but I guess I'm
There's
fine.
the lymph system it goes down. I think this side goes from here underneath for your breast, and the other side goes all the way down the body. So you have one system that was probably getting affected, the other one wasn't.
Okay.
It's like if you ever look it up, you'll see that one comes down and comes there, and the other one goes all the way all the rest of the body. So
So if you do like a lymphatic massage, what does that do? What's
it just
why do
helps
people
the flow. Anytime you get sick, like if I get sick, I'll start, I'll just start to, and it's very gentle. If you want to get a massage, you should get a lymph drainage massage.
Hmm.
It's very gentle, but if you listen to it, you can actually feel it. Like, what in the world is she doing? Because you can feel it flowing. So it's quite
Okay.
fascinating. Yeah, but
And it
when
just
I teach my girls, I only teach about around the knee and the groin area. I don't teach them the whole body. I said they have to
okay.
go out and do that. But if you just did it yourself, you just look it up and you just, just take your hand and gently pushing everything down towards the heart. And it's just a way to keeping yourself healthy.
Okay. It just kind of
Mhm.
helps clean the body, filter the body
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. Okay.
That's one thing people can do when I tell my clients when they're sitting down, you need to work on your lymph system while you're just sitting because the lymph system only move when you move. If you
Right.
ain't moving, it doesn't move because it doesn't have a pump.
Yeah.
So, if you, yeah, I tell people like this to tap your feet on the floor while you're sitting there, like tapping to music that pumps the lymph system, you know?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that Heather said. I think I mispronounced her name, by the way. I think it's Crescent, not Creason. Sorry
Mm.
about that, Heather. But I think that's one thing that she said was if you're like in traffic or something, you can sit there and or in a shower or whatever. Um, and it's crazy because I didn't realize that was a whole system. I knew you had lymph nodes, like they. I guess I don't know what they. I guess I thought they were connected to the bloodstream or some kind of. I don't know what I thought, but I didn't realize it was a whole system, in your body that you could actually massage and drain and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, you have them in Pacific. You have a lot of them in Pacific places. And one place you have them is behind the knee. And
Hmm.
see, those are the ones that get clogged up a lot, and that's where you feel a lot of people get swelling. See, I can show
Yeah.
people how to get out of pain like that. It's not that hard to get out of knee pain. Yeah, to keep you out of knee pain is another
Right.
topic. But to
Right.
get you out of knee pain, it's usually the lymph system. The lymph nodes have just filled up with so much fluid and pushing against nerve endings. If you get rid of the fluid, then usually the pain goes away.
Hmm.
Like I said,
And
it will come back because we didn't fix the root cause, but it's not that hard
and
to get out of
so
pain.
the lymphatic system, is that involved in the like the inflammation and stuff? Is that involved in that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because the lymph system is coming there to for protection,
Hmm.
because when you have inflammation, cells are going to die. You
Right.
can't keep that stuff in there, so cells are going to die. You're going to have debris in there. So now the lymphatic system is saying, I got to get rid of this debris, But it just doesn't. If it's congested, it just sits there, and then so you can't get well. That's why a lot of people keep knee pain for like me, for 20 years, because I was constant. I stayed in pain.
Hmm.
I stayed, but I didn't, only because I stretched, it didn't escalate into a knee replacement. So I know how important stretches are when you have problems with your knees or your back or your hips. That's what saved my knees, was stretching.
This is the amazing thing about this is I was just talking about the healthcare system earlier. And I don't know if you get involved in that. We don't have to get on that road if you don't want to. But I was talking to somebody about the healthcare system. And I was like, man, it's like we have a pill for everything. Like we have a pill to take away inflammation. And it's like you can take away the inflammation, what it sounds like yourself, you know. And it's like I'm pretty sure I don't have the statistic or a resource for this, but I'm pretty sure people who are prescribed like pain medication or anti-inflammatory medication, it actually prolongs the healing of that thing if they have a surgery or something like that, you know. So I mean, again, not to just keep like coming back to this, but if you can use the body's natural systems to fight that thing, whether that's whatever it is, in this case a pain, that, because it's not like you're just fighting the pain. Like there's a source of it. Like where's it coming from? I think that's the biggest thing. Nobody wants
Exactly.
to be in pain, obviously, except people who do cold plunges routinely. That's seems like a thing. But nobody wants to be in pain.
Self-imposed pain.
Yeah, but like nobody wants to be in pain, but it's coming from somewhere. And it's just like I don't know, man. All jokes aside, a knee replacement or back surgery or prolonged medication, pain medication. I mean that should I think that should be the last
Well,
thing you go to.
if you think about, you go to the doctor with your knee problem. I went to 4. You go to the doctor with knee problem, and they say, well, it's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. You got arthritis in your knee, Renee. There's nothing you can do. So here's a shot, or here's a drug, or here's a PT. I didn't do any of that stuff. I never took a pill. I never got a shot. I never did anything they told me to do because I knew it wasn't going to work. But that's what people are told. So if you're told that, here's another shot. Here's another Synthetic injector. Here's more prolotherapy. That's where the
Hmm.
challenge is. and literally the doctors will tell you this. Basically says that you have arthritis in your knees. Come back to me when you can't stand the pain. I heard
Wow.
it hundreds of times. Come back to me when you can't stand the pain. Now, by then, Cody, now their hip is hurting and their backs are hurting.
Hmm.
So now you're going to give them a knee replacement. When they finish a knee replacement, the hip is still going to hurt and their back is still going to hurt.
Man, I can't imagine, and I know you've kind of been there, but I can't imagine being in a position where a doctor tells you like you having all this pain, and a doctor tells you, "Well, come back when you can't bear it anymore." Like that would just be that's so depressing, man. That's like ultimate hopelessness because you go to this person that you think is supposed to fix you or help you, and it's like, oh well, when you can't stand it anymore, come back and we'll do a surgery.
Yeah, well,
Like
they
that's
give you
just
a shot first. They give you a shot to get rid of the pain. They give you that. I've heard it hundreds of times. And that's why people, when they see me, the first thing they say, Renee, you've given me hope.
Hmm.
Because they know they feel hopeless when they're told that.
Well, I bet so. I've I've
Yeah.
uh I've told this story before on the podcast. So I got stung by a yellow jacket or something on my ankle one time. Um, and I went to the doctor. I wasn't allergic. I knew I wasn't allergic, but I went to the doctor because a couple days after because the swelling stood around for a couple days, and I didn't know how long it was supposed to stay. So I went there, and they were like, "Yeah, it'll probably take a week or so." They were like, "We can give you a shot, some kind of shot to take the swelling down." And I was like, let me not do that. Let me see if I can do it naturally. And it did naturally, within a
Mhm.
week. But I asked the doctor that was there, I was like, what do you think about doing this? Because my ankle was pretty swollen up. I said, what do you think about doing this? And like I do a cold plunge almost at the time I was doing it almost every day. And I was like, do you think that'll help with some of the inflammation? And she was like, now this was a medical doctor that told me this. And she was probably early 50s. So she had been in her career a while, the medical career, or at least I'm assuming she was. But she said, why are you doing cold plunges? That's not healthy. Like what, like, where did you learn this from? And I mean, it might not be healthy for some people. I'm not saying it is healthy for everybody to do that, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like that's been around a long time, and like a lot of major athletes are using that but I didn't tell her that. I didn't know how to tell her that. I was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess, whatever. But I just like, it's crazy. It's like, it's almost like the cold plunging is something that's like, apparently is seen as something that's not good. These natural, quote unquote, natural
Yeah,
holistic
yeah. If they
techniques are
have,
like,
they can't prove it and they can't study it, then you know.
yeah, but
But
you see people like NFL players, they getting paid millions of dollars a year, and this is what they're doing. They're doing these things like this. mean, I mean, this is how they go, and they keep doing this for years out of their life. The saunas and that kind of stuff. I mean,
you ever see the ice baths they sit in?
I haven't seen the ones they use.
You ain't never seen? Yeah, they'll sit in ice. The athletes, as soon as they come out to the field, because they know their whole body's gonna be inflamed, they sit in a bucket, a whole tub of ice.
Yeah, and you know how much those ice baths are? Like they're like 10 grand, like $5,000 to $10,000 a piece. So there's a science behind this, man. Like there's like we're not these professional athletes making millions of dollars a year are not going to go buy this thing for like $10,000, and then they got a sauna, this however much that is, and then they got all this stuff like they're using it like these are their tools. They're using this to make their income.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways. But it goes back to the point of being in that space and like you have this pain and you go to this person and they prescribe you something or they say, well, when you can't bear it anymore, let me know. Like that's crazy, man.
And if you go into that's just here. If you go into these other countries, it's a lot. Whew, got 800,000 people that are waiting on waiting lists for a knee replacement. And they're waiting, but while they're waiting, their backs are starting to hurt, their hips are starting to hurt, and they don't have any choices. But they're told the same thing: when the pain gets bad enough, come back and see me.
You know what this makes me think about? We take care of our cars, we take care of our houses and stuff. We do maintenance and stuff like that. We change oil and stuff. And it's like, it sounds like if we just take care of our bodies, man, if we just do the preventative stuff, we can solve a lot of this stuff. The joint stuff and the lymphatic stuff and the heart and all that kind of stuff. If we just take care of it, if we just, maintain it,
Yeah, but it's like you said, it's not taught. It's not taught. I found out it took me 10 years to figure out, I have 6 steps, but it's like I do the hot and cold, and I have to do the lymph drainage, and I have to do step by step.
Hmm.
It's like you have to do step by step. But I had to figure that out for myself. It took me like 10 years to put it all together, but I finally did. And that's where I'm here right now, is because I know I'm going to be able to change the world with my
Oh yeah.
techniques.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
I'm
was going to
just
say, I'm
mhm.
glad you did figure that out because you're going to be able to help a lot of people with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so listen, I'm gonna let you get out of here in a little bit. What did we? Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on?
Mm. Oh, that we didn't touch on. Mm. Uh, no, I don't think. I think we've hit it because you've talked about the different ways that people try to get themselves out of pain, but we always have to think about there's something physical that has to be done first. So yeah, I
Okay.
think we're pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Where can you be found? Do you have website or social media or anything?
Yes, I am found on healmyknees.com,
Okay.
and that's where I have all my exercises. I have invented a knee pain reduction strap, and also my book is all there.
Okay. And if you want to send me that stuff, I'll put them in the descriptions of these of the video.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so one thing that and I'm curious to get your answer on this. One thing that I ask everybody before we close, if you could share one of the most important lessons you've ever learned, if it can be something from your personal life, if you're comfortable sharing it, or your career, what do you think will be one of the most valuable lessons you've ever learned?
That I can heal myself.
Hmm.
That is definitely all through my path of trying to fix my knees. I kept saying to myself, I know there's got to be another way. I know there's got to be another way. And that's why I didn't never go to the medical side of things. And then when I started to heal myself, I said, oh, and then I can teach it, to all my girls and all the people that are
Yeah.
listening to me. I can teach them how to heal themselves. And that's total joy.
Hmm. That is a pretty incredible I guess lesson, because it's valuable, that you can heal yourself, and it's empowering too that you can heal yourself, that you can make the healing, that you don't have to, I, it's I know it's convenient to have a grocery store and we have all these things, but it's like I just wonder where we would be, man, if we had like the natural food that we once had, not the preservatives and the chemicals and the, straight from the ground to the table or straight from the field to the table or whatever it was. I just wonder where we would be at, like where we would be, because I've talked about this on the podcast before. There's like been a significant decline in testosterone since like the 1950s, and all kinds of things, and it's probably because of the things that are in the food. You know, I don't know. I wonder where we would be if we had that natural diet, and then we had the knowledge that we could heal ourselves. It would just be. I think it would be crazy. Because you think about like, especially in America, obesity is a really big problem in America. And like, I think something, I read a statistic one time, I don't have a source for this, but I think it was something like 40% of children are considered obese. And that's depressing, man. You know?
Yeah. Okay. My daughter works with a lot of kids in basketball, but they come in there looking pretty good. But this one woman literally, they was asking her to give her child a balanced diet, and she said, "I am." She gave him eggs, grits, bacon, bread, and something else. She said, "See, everything is different." So she didn't understand. She just
Yeah.
knew she has different things on her plate. The child was like 300 pounds, no
Wow.
correlation there, but she just didn't understand it, that these things did that. So,
Well, and again, that's the lack of education, and we're not taught these things.
exactly.
I'm pretty sure since I've been in school, and like I said, I'm 31, so I got out of high school in 2011. So I'm pretty sure the food pyramid that it used to be has been updated. It used to
Right.
be like the pyramid where it was on the, it went up. I'm pretty sure they've changed it. But yeah, we don't know, like we're not taught these things. We're not taught general. We're not taught
Yeah.
that the body can heal itself. We're not taught that sunlight can reset our circadian biology, which then helps mental health, which then is going to help everything. I mean, we're not taught these things. We're not taught fasting can heal the body, and the body, you
Mm.
know, when it gets to a certain point in fasting, it eats itself. It eats the damaged cells first, autophagy and that kind of thing. We're not taught that. And it doesn't take long. Like it doesn't take a very long fast. Like you can hit that. A lot of people can hit that in a 36-hour fast.
I want you to think about that. Some of my clients come to me and I get them off all their medications and they have to get cancel their knee replacement, right? So when they go back to the doctor to do a checkup, they said, I don't need no more medication. I don't need any of this. I don't need it. You know what they say to them? Next. They don't say, well, what did you do? How did you do that? How can, let me find out more about that. I said, did your doctor ask you anything? And I have like 600 clients and I've helped them, but the doctor never asked. No, take that back. One asked. I'll take that back. One asked. But the rest of them don't ask. They're all orthopedic doctors and they only do surgery. There needs to be a person in between there. And I think that's what the problem is too,
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know. I'll keep going down this rabbit hole if we keep going. I know you got to get out of here, but I don't know, man. It should be, like I said, it should be the last resort, and it should be only a last resort for a small percentage of people. But I think even though the awareness of this, like just letting people know and let them decide for themselves, letting people know the statistics, like, okay, you can get this knee surgery. One, it's probably not even going to fix the problem. Two, it's not. I mean, I'm serious. It's not going to fix the problem. And then it's not going to be what you think, man. Cause you are right. Like most people, now that I'm thinking about this, most people that I've met or talked to that's had some sort of surgery, like a replacement surgery. I'm not talking about like a meniscus tear repair or anything, but like a replacement surgery. You're right. At some point there's another surgery for something else.
It's guaranteed. If they haven't fixed the root cause of why they had the first one, arthritis is not it. Because you have, I have osteoarthritis, so I know it's not arthritis. It's they're out of alignment because they've been limping around, and they're gonna have, they're gonna be still limping when you have the other one. You ought to hear the people on there. They're talking about, God, did anybody tell you that my feet hurt or that my ankles are tight or my shins are tight? They talk about it because they know that's what's happening.
Well, I don't know. I feel like that's a very easy solution to try before you go and replace somebody's
knee. You just don't
knee.
know how I'm out there. Can I mention something to you?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see what that says?
Shark Tank?
Shark Tank.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I went to a casting call.
Okay.
Because I have a device, something I created called a knee pain reduction strap, that if I can just get this in people's hands, will start them to focus on their ankles, their shins, and their calves.
Okay.
And that's what I want. And so if I get there and they can help me to boost that up, you'll see me again.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Listen, don't let them talk you down on that thing. Now you got something valuable over there. Make sure you know what you got when you go in there, those guys.
Oh yeah, big time. I didn't just let me tell it, even, I don't know how it's going to come out, but I'm not, they have to call me back, but I'm just on the casting.
Well, I was just joking because it's obviously something valuable that you have right there. There's a lot of people that could benefit from that.
Because it's going to as soon as you get it, it's going to force you to go after your feet, your ankles, and your shins, which most people do not even go after.
Yeah.
It will take the stress off the knees, off the hips, and off the back.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Good luck. Good luck with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Listen, I'm going to let you get out of here. I appreciate it. It's been great. Appreciate the insight. It's been a great conversation. If you can hang out for just a second, I'll explain to you the upload process and the situation and everything, but definitely appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Let me see. Are we